Welcome to PsychSessions at ACT 2022. That's STP's annual conference on teaching, where PsychSessions had a booth set up for live recording. I'm Garth Neufeld. We suggest that you listen to these short interviews in order, starting with episode 1, where we explain what this series is. We want to thank all of our guests for their participation, and of course, STP. Now, please enjoy. This is PsychSessions at ACT 2022. All right, live from ACT, the annual conference on teaching. I have a new friend, Melissa Maffeo, from Wake Forest University, and we had the chance to hang out yesterday for Top Inc., right?
Yes, we did. That was fun.
Yeah, and can you just tell us about your project? Because I thought your project, everybody loved your project. Do you remember when you were like, yeah, so this is what I'm doing, and then like the whole room, everybody just wanted to give like a comment about it. So yeah, that was awesome. So tell us, what is this thing?
Okay, yeah. So I have a pet project that is turning into a big project.
Yep.
I am currently working on a book with Cambridge University Press. It will be called Science of the Supernatural, Critical Thinking for the Mind and Brain. And the idea is that we use the supernatural as a lens to learn about neuroscience, to learn about psychology, and teach critical thinking skills.
Is it almost like that myth-busting angle?
A little bit. Yeah, it is. So I am not a believer in the paranormal.
Uh-huh.
No shade on people who are. I would love to see a ghost. It's one of my greatest ambitions. But when people have experiences that they describe as paranormal, there's a lot of very normal things that are happening inside their brain that can account for that experience.
Right. So your first chapter, was it like, you already told me that you kind of wrote a first chapter for it. Was it an overview or?
So the first chapter is the neurobiology of fear. So It talks about fear as an emotion. We talk about the history of how we learned the neurocircuitry of fear.
Yep.
So there's a lot of time spent on the amygdala and extended amygdala circuitry. And there's a big argument that a lot of people learn that the amygdala is the, quote, fear center in the brain. That's not really accurate. It's really a threat detection center. It can help us determine whether or not things are dangerous and then stay away from that. It's a really evolutionary conserved set of structures. So the first chapter of the book goes through that and then talks about how we really can't call that fear per se, because we can study it really well in rats. There's a lot of Pavlovian fear conditioning. We know what the circuitry is for that. We know there's a lot of central amygdala, lateral amygdala circuitry that feeds down to the sympathetic nervous system, to the adrenal glands, to give us all this, run away from the scary thing feeling. But is that fear? We can't say, because humans can experience the emotion of fear. We can't talk about the subjective state of a rat.
Interesting. How does this set up the rest of the book? Obviously, is fear like a central theme to some of the supernatural stuff?
I mean, I think so, because ghosts are scary, right? So the argument that I want to make is that fear is, in a way, rewarding and fun, and people seek it out because it's neat. And then also people just have this natural curiosity for stuff that they can't explain.
Yeah.
So since the book is really a neuroscience book, we're going to be going through this kind of circuitry, and every chapter is probably going to link back to it.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Now, you have, it's so hard, and I know that we have people in this community at STP, like lots of folks who write books, and they try to carry their full-time workload, write books on the side. We have families. We have a bunch of things. I know that's one of your considerations. And you and I talked about this, I kind of have no doubt that a year from now we'll be talking about this book that's coming. How do you think through kind of what we have to sacrifice to take on this labor of love, these kinds of projects?
I love that you asked me that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
This is, as you know, this is one of the things I'm working on. I think that all of us, when we have these labor of love, these pet projects that are additional to our normal workload, we need to find a way to put it in and spend some sacred time on it, but then we do need to be able to take something else off our plate.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way that we can say no to some kind of thing that we've been asked to do. That's a work in progress. I'm still working on learning how to do that.
Yeah, well, when you figure it out, and maybe you will have, maybe you will have a year from now. We might be talking, and I'll say to you, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
And we'll figure that out. I
hope so.
Maybe you won't know yet, but hopefully it comes to you soon. Hey, I'm really looking forward to this project.
Thank you.
It was so nice to meet you this week.
Yeah.
And what's your affiliation? But just before we go, lots of love to STP, to the annual conference on teaching. What kind of stuff have you been involved in with STP? Have you been to this conference before?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is my third in-person STP, 2 virtual. I was on the conference committee for 3 years.
Okay.
So I was on the committee for when we were in Denver.
Yep.
And then the 2 virtual years after that. So I've been in STP in a variety of roles for a few years now.
Yep.
It's been great. I'm also the director of STP programming at the APA conference. And then along with Christina Reagan and Katie Lack, we are the co-directors for the Neuroscience Teaching Conference, which is a brand new conference. So if people are interested in teaching neuroscience, they should come to the Neuroscience Teaching Conference, which will be held in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, July 20th and 21st, 2023.
Oh my goodness. So now I'm starting to understand why you talking about the margin is quite small right now. You're doing a lot of stuff.
Too much.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I love it all.
Of course. But, and as you know, and as we talked about, sometimes we have to say no to things to do the things that we love, and that's really, really difficult. But yeah, thanks for doing all that. I had no idea. So did you take over the APA programming for STP after Missy finished up?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
So this was my first APA. This past summer.
How's the learning curve for that job?
Very steep.
Yeah.
Very steep.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks for all your service. I'm sure teaching programming was strong and will remain strong there.
Thank you. Well, I had phenomenal predecessors for that.
Good. All right. Well, again, super nice to meet you, and good luck this year on writing that book.
Thanks, Garth. I appreciate it.
Did you know that PsychSessions just launched a website? It's at PsychSessions.org. Check it out to see all our series, and be sure to sign up for the monthly newsletter. We won't fill your inbox with anything but the best curated content from PsychSessions and our friends. Thanks for listening.